All praises. This is Elliot. I want to talk about something today that maybe some of you have questioned in your own mind that didn't have the answer to, and I'm going to try to tackle it the best way I can. It's hard to really break this down biblically, but in the spirit, it will be able to really shed some more light on the situation, and it's why all of a sudden, within the past few years, and especially when there was a big flare-up around 2020, 2021, 22, why do we see everyone with pink hair, blue hair, red hair, all types of demonstrations of hair color, tattoos, piercings? What was behind all that? Well, like I said, we're going to dig into that and try to kind of explain what was happening and what we're seeing before us in the natural realm and how it manifested from the spirit realm. You know, sometimes, say if you're dealing with a chronic illness, an illness that you deal with that's that you have for a long period of time, such as back pain or stomach pain, some sort of pain. And say, for example, when you feel good some of the time, maybe most of the time, but then every now and then you'll get what they call a flare-up, where basically everything's inflamed and you get symptoms really, really bad of whatever you're dealing with. So basically what I'm trying to say is, and it's very obvious, and those who are in tune with the spirit could see, and even if you weren't, you were able to see because it was just so off the charts. What's recently happened is that in this past few years, especially during 2020, 2021, there was an intense flare-up of evil. An intense flare-up, and that's how I would probably describe it, so you can understand it. But evil was running rampant, and we know for such things to have happened and to come off worldwide lockstep, that there was an intense amount of witchcraft involved, sorcery, all kind of demons doing what they do. I wouldn't put it past CERN being involved and the portals being opened up for all these demons to cross over into this realm. And all that to say is, what did we notice? What did we see? Why all of a sudden did we see so many people with their hair color changing right before our eyes? And it wasn't really that inconspicuous. It was out there. It was out there. It was blatant. And so let's get behind that. So like what I said, it's an outward expression of what's really going on inside the heart. In Second Esdras, you can kind of see when Uriel was the angel that was coming down. Second Esdras 4, around verse 10, they're talking about outward expressions of certain things. And even though hair color is not necessarily touched in the Bible, but it is in a way, because in terms of meekness, there's scriptures talking about to not over adorn yourself, women to not over adorn themselves, but to stay humble and meek. And the same thing we can learn in the book of Enoch, from the Dead Sea Scrolls. You'll see that a lot of the things that were taught about different makeups and the ways people express themselves outwardly were all from, or some of that was from the fallen angels teaching these women how to do such things, to be able to manipulate and seduce and certain things like that. So we have to understand how outward expression really affects, or really symbolizes what's going on in the spirit and what's going on with someone. And I really want to give all praises again to the Most High for him giving us clues and signals and things to be able to see in the natural realm to kind of understand what's really going on. I want to there's so many ways I could go with this, and I really believe that I'm only going to scratch the surface today. But one of the things that had recently encouraged me to actually teach this or to speak upon this is I heard a story about someone who came to me and was just telling me about all the things they're doing. They're a caregiver for someone in their life who's elderly and has recently had really bad dementia, some stages of Alzheimer's and things like that. And so for the most part, the person's good and can function and operate. But then when they go into the part of just not remembering and just being like a completely different personality, those things kick in and they're just completely, somebody different. But like I said, this caregiver was telling me that they had to go take this person to the hairdresser, and they do this regularly. Now, this woman that they're caring for is in their 80s, okay? And before she was sick, she definitely was, kind of a type A personality, always kept things up, herself up, her environment up, and was very involved civically and things like that. Well, it came down to the point where, this person was picking them up and taking them to the hairdresser back and forth. And for the past couple of years, all of a sudden, when they would take it to the hairdresser, even though this person has dementia and certain things not being able to remember, she decided to change her hair color red. We couldn't figure out why. She's been going to the same hairdresser for years, but yet there was a sudden change. So what am I saying with this? What was it internally that caused this person to all of a sudden want to say, you know what, I think I want red hair? Well, I will say that this person has received the solution that was offered for the things that were created here in the past few years, as well as many other things may have surfaced to make them want to outwardly express what may or may not have been, but probably was, the evil that was inside. And then we see this over and over again. If you just, look at the cashiers at the grocery stores, the people walking around the streets, people are very, very out there now with outwardly expressing themselves through piercings, through the hooks in their nose, through the colored hair, through the tattoos. All these things are our expression of the evil that's inside, as well as the evil energy that just seems to just have covered the earth in these last days and dark times. There was another time I was watching this podcast. It was several years ago. About several years ago. And I can't remember the guy's name, but he was interviewing this lady who was a witch, and she was talking about basically witches over the centuries. And she was talking about how, like, 100, 200, 300 years ago, when these witches were in high society, in these high places and hobnobbing and doing certain things, they were under strict enforcement and instruction to make sure that they did not express themselves with tattoos and piercings and things like that. They were supposed to hide and lay low and look like everyone else. So it's really interesting to see how these expressions can also be indicators of what the inward heart is. And so I'm just like, what's really going on? Why are we seeing everyone look like they are basically one of the Joker's minions? And even in the movie The Joker, if you watch the last minutes when the Joker was captured, there was so much programming in that movie in the first place. You'll see all these different people dressed up in makeup and clown faces and red hair, blue hair, green hair. All this to express the evil, the saturation of evil and darkness that was around and that was present at that time. And that was what was released here recently. Even more so, they can come out. I've got story upon story after this. I remember one time I was in the grocery store, and this was back during the mask mandates and stuff. And, the people who had to wear the mask and were excited about wearing masks, they were super excited. They had had little engraved masks. They had 2 or 3 masks on. They had masks on their foreheads, masks on their elbows. And they were just going in. And I remember seeing this lady ish thing was behind me, and she she was walking behind me, and she had, you know, maybe double mask on. She had the red hair, and there was another person stalking, and I guess she may have known her because she came in so frequently or something, and she hugged her and said, "Oh, I feel so free now. I feel so free." I couldn't believe the Most High is so awesome. Just for the fact he gets me in places where I'm able to see stuff, and he's really able to teach me. And I knew exactly what that was. You know, she might have been homosexual or something like that, but there was something going on because the environment is the whole situation of what was happening and what is still happening during this flare up is that people are just out here just doing the most and just really showing themselves out. And the programming came through people like Nicki Minaj, like Pink, if you remember Pink, and I don't know, she's as relevant as she used to be. Lady Gaga. You'll see, you know, why do these people look like that? What is this expression? What is this evil expression of darkness and wickedness? And that's where it comes out. And you know, a lot of these there's subcultures like this that have been throughout history, such as hip hop, goth, emo, punk. And I would say this whole colored hair and the stuff we're seeing now is more representative of like a punk culture. And then we've already been programmed to be the cyberpunk, you know, the time of technology and then people looking like punks, and we see that in the end of days programming, such as Mad Max and certain different shows and movies where they show people who are just completely pierced up, tatted up, colored hair, and all that. So I want you guys to be able to see what's happening here, and just, you know, you want to give the Most High praise to think that He actually is giving us signals and indicators of who's who and what they may be going through. And it's just so much that's happening around the world and right in front of our faces with all this evil lurking and how people are expressing themselves. It's just unfortunate. But unfortunately, it is what it is. And if you wonder why you're seeing what you're seeing, and like why did everybody all of a sudden have the idea to go to CVS, Walgreens, whatever these places are, and pick up a bottle of pink, pick up a bottle of red or blue, put it in their hair, sew in or weave in some red or blue hair? It's because of the darkness. It's because of what's being expressed from the inward coming outward. It's something else. So if you are in the truth, if you're a believer of the Most High, if you got caught up, I would say most of you probably wouldn't have gone that. But if by accident you thought it was kind of cool to change the color of your hair to try to fit in what was going on, it's not a fad. It's a demonstration of a demon. That's what it is. So do not revert back to your natural hair color if that's what you're on accident. But I don't believe this is done accidentally. I believe this is a hard thing. Don't get caught up with all these tattoos, you know, and all these piercings and having big old hoops in your ear and the big old horseshoe thing coming out your nose and your nostril, and it's just all wickedness. We need to be really set apart for the Most High. And like I said, I'm saying this but believing that those people who are called and chosen aren't even involved in stuff like this. But if you're coming out of it, if you feel a tug in your heart, if you feel like you've just been running with the wrong people, and maybe I call into this, or I listened to too much Nicki Minaj and the programming got me, now's the time to come out of that. Turn away from all that stuff. Leave it behind, because I'm trying to tell you the origin and the roots of this stuff. It's really, really dark. And it's an expression of all kinds of rebellion and sickness and darkness. And it's coming around. And like I said, and I'll say one more time, praise the Most High that He's allowing us to see who's infected. Because then we know how to deal with them accordingly, or to not deal with them at all. All praises. This is Brother Elliot, and I will see you again soon. Shalom.